In this video, I'm going to show you the lavish lifestyle of Keith Williams. Keith Williams promoted a Ponzi scheme called HyperVerse and made millions of dollars. He went quiet around about the 22nd of December. No one could find him. It's like he dropped off the planet of the earth. Through his community, we heard rumours that he's claiming he's had stage 4 cancer, which seemed like the perfect exit strategy. Just the other day, I received an email from someone complaining, when is this guy going to get locked up? I live close by and he's always having parties. So I did a bit of a search, did a bit of ask around, and then I found this billboard with his face on it, like an invitation to a 60th birthday party. So I researched the address, found the house, and then I went through all the photos I had, and I was trying to associate Keith Williams with the house that is being sold back in April 2021 for £3 million, his mansion. And I found it. I found the room he works out of. I found the photo, somebody gave it to me. And at last, I know where Keith Williams lives. Then I've also heard that Keith went to pay taxes, and the tax department in the UK refused to take his money because he was being investigated for fraud and money laundering. His lavish lifestyle, the parties and the wild parties, that is what this video was going to be all about. Last night I produced a short, and you can see the photo in the background. It says no cancer, fraud allegations, lavish lifestyle and wild parties. Keith's £3 million mansion. And I was going to show you where he lives because I had a recovery plan where I thought it would be a good idea if I told you where he lives and you can go around and knock on his door and ask for your money back. So I sent that video out, and then I got a message from Keith's best friend. And he said he would like to get on a video call with me and discuss Keith Williams. I got out of bed at 1 o'clock last night, got myself all set up, and got on a Zoom call with Keith's best friend for 25 years. After a long conversation, this guy told me that I was wrong. He said that Keith does have cancer. He was diagnosed back in December 2022. He's had 2 rounds of chemo, and he's on the second bout of it now. He only has a 3% chance of survival. Okay, Keith stole millions of dollars from people, and I said that to a few people, and they go, oh, how do you know it's true? How do you know this guy's just not, making this stuff up? So I did research on the guy, and I got back on a Zoom meeting with him this morning. And I said, hey, look, a lot of people will not believe what I'm saying because I'm an investigative journalist. I research everything, and it's like doing a massive jigsaw puzzle. I can't always get my facts right. People always say, get your facts right, because I'm getting bits from here, bits in here, and all that sort of stuff. But in this video, I'm really going to tell you who the real criminals are. And I'm going to give you a really good insight on the wellness of Keith Williams at the moment. If you don't know who I am, I'm Danny de Hek, a.k.a. the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger. I'm on a quest to name and shame anyone running a Ponzi scheme or a scam. Now, I don't want to, go after a man and kick him when he's down. But I'm actually quite surprised about a lot of people and how they actually feel about Keith Williams. Now, it would be fair to say I did my apprenticeship with Keith Williams. I was introduced to HyperVerse like you all were. I didn't invest. I looked at it straight away and said Ponzi scheme. I told the guy that was trying to introduce me to it that he was an idiot and get off my phone and stop trying to scam people, because I knew the history of that guy. He's always been involved in multi-level marketing. I didn't lose anything, but I did a video and it got quite a bit of traction. I'm currently trying to build up another business, and I'm struggling like a lot of people are at the moment. So I was in the hope that I was going to build up a YouTube channel. So I make a couple $100 a month from my YouTube channel. It's not, and I've been doing this for nearly 2 years. It's not a money maker, but I'm on a quest. The New York Times did a whole featured article about me because I actually talked about Keith Williams. The reporter who interviewed me over a 12-week period, 3 times on Zoom, and he actually went and knocked on Keith Williams' door, and he wouldn't come to the door. There's also a guy in the online version of the New York Times article they did. I was in the printed edition as well, and it was off a guy called Mike Lucas. Now, Mike Lucas is an American guy that was under Keith Williams, and he invested $25,000. He invested $2,000, tested the waters, liked it, then took out his life savings out of his pension fund because of a guy called Pinakee Naik told him that the pension funds was a Ponzi scheme that the government was running. So he trusted HyperVerse so much that he took his money out of his life saving and put it all in, and he's lost his money. You guys trusted the person that got you into it, and you put your money into HyperVerse. You are the one that is responsible for your own decisions. In this chat that I had with Keith's best friend of 25 years, which I'll be honest, I was a bit skeptical at the start, I went through and we had a really good conversation. Keith Williams really believed that it wasn't a Ponzi scheme. I know what you're thinking. I'm the first person to say that's a hard pill to swallow. But who are the people running these Ponzi schemes? And can they be stopped? Well, yes, they can. Unfortunately, you won't like the next thing I'm going to say. Can you get your money back from these guys? I don't believe you can. But I know who's got the money. And I'm going to share that with you. So the first thing I want to do is I'm not going to do any videos. I'm not going to do any talkovers. But I have literally been text chatting Sam Lee over the last 36 hours. I spent 3.5 hours talking to Sam Lee, and I'm going to reveal some of the information. Sam Lee isn't a billionaire. He said so. I'm going to put a video on after this, the complete script of me chatting one-on-one with Sam Lee, who is a wanted fugitive. He ran away to Dubai from Australia. I don't need to prove it because it's all over the headlines in Australia. You can do your own research if you really care. But Sam Lee, Jaden Wee, and Ryan Jew are the guys that are producing these Ponzi schemes, and you are signing up. There's a new one called Diversal, and people have been told that HyperNation has sold their database to Diversal. Diversal looks like it's developed from the same marketing team, the same IT team. They're all working in Dubai out of it. The office is called Vidilook. The video I did previously, you can see that. Anyway, I'm going to get distracted if I go on. I really want to focus on Keith Williams' best friend who reached out to me pleading not to tell people that Keith does not have cancer, but rather inform people that Keith Williams, whether you hold him responsible for losing your money or not, is in a fight of his life. So this is a video which is quite sobering, and I've been pondering how to do it. I all got halfway through and I started again, and this is my second or maybe third attempt. But I just wanted to go through the conversation I had with Keith's best friend, because he said that Keith actually does have cancer, and he does have stage 4 cancer, and he's been getting chemo, and he's on a second bout of it now. His chances of survival are single figures. And I don't want to be the guy that kicks a man when he's down, regardless if he's stolen money. So I had an opportunity. I talked to his best friend for half an hour. I got up this morning and I said, look, if I put this video out about how Keith has got cancer, the first thing people are going to say is, I don't believe you. You know, who's this guy, and why hasn't he come forth sooner? All these things. I said, is it possible to get a photo of Keith Williams at the 60th birthday party so I can see what he looks like? So he said, look, he doesn't want to, he doesn't want the photo of Keith to go to the wrong people because he's a friend of Keith's and it would hurt Keith. And I get that. So I said, look, I won't show it to anybody and I'll keep it to myself, I promise. So he showed me the photo of Keith it is undisputable that Keith Williams has stage 4 cancer. He is not in good health. So I said to a few other people, and they go, I still want my money back. How come he's got a £3 million mansion? So I had a good discussion with the guy, and it really, I asked ChatGPT some good questions to ask the viewers. How do we move forward from this? Now, hear me out, because Keith Williams believes he was gullible, and he was promoting a Ponzi scheme that he truly believed was real. Most people go, how could you believe that's real? That's what I said. Hard pill to swallow. However, the honest truth is that if you've invested in HyperVerse, then you've done the same thing. You trusted your friend, your family member. You thought there's some miracle out there where you're going to get 3 or 4 times your return in your investment. And you invested. You made an informed decision. Keith Williams, now, Keith and I do not see eye to eye. We've had a Zoom meeting where we got pretty intense. He thought I was a reporter. He said I can't afford to pay my rent, and I was wearing a cheap suit. So I've been after him for ages. I've probably watched 1,000 hours of Keith on video. So what I did is I had a really good conversation with his friend, and I asked a lot of questions that you're probably thinking right now. The main thing I really want to say is these scams are rampant, and I don't want to get too distracted, but I want your help. I want to stop these scams. I want to be the guy that actually stops these Ponzi schemes. Now, there's 2 people at large at the moment, Sam Lee and Ryan Jew. Jaden Wee, maybe a third, but he's not rampant. And there's also the multi-level marketers that are still promoting these Ponzi schemes. We need to stop the big guys. I talked to this guy and he asked me, where do you think Ryan Jew is? And I said Singapore. He said exactly the same. That is probably where Ryan Jew is. He's in hiding. We've got a photo of him in an apartment. It could be one in Singapore. That's how they are in Singapore. They're all quite small. If you have any information on his whereabouts, please let me know. Go to my website. A box will pop up hopefully about now. And you can go to the Contact Us page and give me anonymous information. I get lots of leads that way, so thank you for that. This is how I found out where Keith Williams lives, and this is how I found out this information about how Keith does have stage 4 cancer. Also, Sam Lee. Now, he's working out of the offices of Vigilook. He claims he owns the building. He claims they've got 450 staff. Well, Gareth, who doesn't work for Vigilook anymore, or doesn't seem to, said they had 450 staff. Sam Lee said he had 5,000 staff in the last 7 days. And then on a video, he claims he has 750 staff. And then I find that Garrett did a video walking around the office, and I could see that Sam Lee's desk, where Sam Lee works out of. So they're all working out of the same office. Sam Lee Golby said that Sam Lee has got a great relationship with the Dubai president, and he was released, get this, 600 people were released into Sam Lee's care. He put them up in what could be a 5-star hotel, had to put security guards around them, gave them jobs, accommodation and food and money, and they were working to pay off their debt to the Dubai royal family for their crimes. And then once they do that, they can be released. And Sam Lee was meant to be responsible for that. I've got 3.5 hours worth of chat conversation with Sam Lee, which I'll put in this video afterwards. In that chat conversation, I tell Sam Lee face to face that or text to face, whatever you want to call it, that he is a wanted fugitive in Australia for stealing $50 million. He denied it, and I said, the liquidators are after you. Then he goes, I have been talking to the liquidators. And I said, no, you haven't, because I know he hasn't. I said, I would pay for you to go from Dubai to Australia if you will talk to the authorities. He wanted me to send him his arrest warrant. I don't have an arrest warrant for you, Sam. I said, but when you talk to the liquidators, then they will arrest you. But at the moment, you've fled to Dubai, you've went missing, and you've stuck up, you've raised yourself from Dubai, and now you're working out of a scam office. You're claiming that you provide prep for, Sam Lee, stop listening to him. This VAV platform, the last one he's just released, is a stupid put your money in, shake it all about, and pull it back out again. You can put $150, you can buy a membership for $150. Within 48 hours, you can take that money straight back out again. And then the other 5 days, that money sits on the platform and you can never touch it. And the people go, well, why is he doing it for? And I go, why are you putting your money in? These guys are just going to come after scam after scam after scam. Also, I don't know if I said it, but Sam isn't a billionaire. Sam said it himself to me in the chat room in front of 3,000 people. He's been preaching that message. So these guys are the real scammers. This video is about Keith Williams. And this is a conversation where if you know Keith Williams like I did, any updates, great. And there's some really earth-shattering moments in this. So I'm going to go through. I'm dyslexic. I'm not going to get my computer to read it, but I've gone through the notes of our conversation with Keith's best friend. So he was first diagnosed in December the 22nd. His chances of survival are single digit, and it was 3%. His first round of chemo ended in May, and he felt pretty good in June, although it whacked him out. He had a relapse at the end of June, and he's having his second round of chemo now. And his 25-year-old friend said he visited him hospital at the end of June, and he also saw him in London on Saturday. Now, on Saturday, Keith had a 60th birthday where the neighbour, friend, colleague, whatever it is, complained about the noise. And he said he also saw him on Monday, and he was at his place in the weekend. So they did a birthday party on Saturday night, and what it really was more of his last goodbye, final opportunity to invite all the friends he ever knew. He said he came out briefly for about half an hour. He was walking poorly, and he had to go back upstairs and rest. They all ate and celebrated and had a good time, and they spoke to each other. And then he appeared briefly again, and anyone wanted to say a few words could stand up and obviously say a few words about Keith. And he said there was a huge, and this is quite nice, there was a huge outpouring of love, gratitude, and gratitude for everything he had done. Now, if you're like me, when I heard that, you probably thought, you told everyone to sign up for HyperVerse and people invested. How can people show gratitude for that? You guys invested your money. You thought it sounded too good to be true and invested anyway. Keith believed that it was a good, honest, multi-level marketing program. Now, Keith has been promoting these schemes and multi-level marketing for quite a long time. That's what multi-level marketers do. So who am I to judge Keith? Who are you to judge Keith? You did the same thing in another way. And I'm not giving you a hard time. I'm just sort of using Danny logic here. So he said at the party, they had people going back longer than his relationship, 30, 40 or 50 years. He said Keith had lost a huge amount of weight. He's lost his hair as well. And he said, Danny, he's not well. So I woke up in the morning and I sent this guy a message. And I said, look, I've talked to a few people and I've said, Keith really has got stage 4 cancer and I've been wrong and misinformed, thinking that was a slow exit strategy. And I said, what would really help the community would be a photo of Keith. So I could see what he looks like, and he said I couldn't do that to Keith. He said because it would be a real invasion of his privacy. So he said, but I will show you the photo if you promise don't share it or do anything with it. So he did, and in my opinion, I'm good at digital stuff. This is not a mock photo. It's in a public place at his birthday party, and that's obvious that Keith has got stage 4 cancer, and he's fighting a battle of his lifetime. So then people go, well, how do you know the guy that you were talking to was credible? Because I found his name. I researched him. He's a very, influential person. He's not involved in scams. He's not a multi-level marketer. He's not a VIP 5. He's a real person, real genuine, good heart fellow. We had a good conversation together. If this guy has scammed me by saying that, it's not true, then I'm as dumb as the rest of you. But I believe that this guy was telling the truth. I'm not going to bet my life on it because I've seen all sorts of things in this sea, but from my knowledge, my research that I've done, it's as good as Keith is not in a good place. So why did he reach out to me? Well, I did this video last night because I got a video of the billboard with Keith's face on it in his backyard, and I put it out there and said tomorrow there's going to be a video exposing Keith Williams, his home address. Danny's come up with a new way of getting your money back. You go knock on Keith's door and you ask him for your money back. That was my plan, my strategy, I'll admit. But now I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell you where Keith lives. I'm not going to kick a man when he's down. But when this guy saw this video and what I was about to do, he rang me up out of kindness for Keith and his best friend, and he wanted to let me know that everything I said about HyperVerse, he agrees. He said, Sam Lee and Brian Jew are criminals. I wish they could get locked away. It's one scam after the other. It is. You know, VidiLook 1, and then they turn it into a beta. VidiLook 2, and then you've got We Are Satoshi. We've got Stable Deo, and now we've got VAV. I mean, where does it stop? These guys are all working out of the same office. And they're liars and cheats. Don't get me started. One scam, one new scam, and there's another new scam just out. They are scammers. Yep, it's criminal. Keith is one of the most honest, kindest guys he'd ever know. Now, that's a hard pill for me to swallow, but that's what he said. So I went and asked who was at the party. I said, was Brenda Chunga there? He said, no. And was Clayton Ford there? He said, no. Now, if you haven't been following Clayton Ford is a long-time friend, probably as long back as this guy who's talking to me. However, Clayton Ford has now gone into the hyper community claiming that people can sign up for a dodgy credit card and use the reward money to pay back the losses that people have had in HyperVerse. And that is a scam. The credit card that he's promoting, people have researched it, and it's not even plugged into a proper credit card company. I don't know how it works, but what I'm getting at is these guys are still promoting. I mean, look at Kalpesh Patel. He would also know that HyperVerse definitely was a scam. I mean, Keith Williams knows that HyperVerse is a scam now because they stopped paying, and there's more to come, and I'll read it in a minute. But Kalpesh Patel, he didn't like the ethics of what HyperVerse did. So he left. But he didn't leave and stop promoting Ponzi schemes, because I asked that, would Keith still be promoting Ponzi schemes if he didn't have stage 4 cancer now? And he said, no, I don't think he would. And he probably wouldn't. But Kalpesh Patel, he went off, he jumped out of the frying pan into the fire. He went away and he promoted GS Partners. And then he got involved he still is involved in wewe.Global. And then he's now promoting Databank, which is meant to be they're all Ponzi schemes. And also he does his nuts and bolts training religiously I think it's Wednesday night or Monday night, whenever it is. And it's all on YouTube. So he hasn't stopped. And he's fully aware that all the people that were in HyperVerse are now in these other Ponzi. He's plucking them out and using them for these new Ponzi schemes. So, you know, I do believe that Keith Williams wouldn't be promoting this now. He does have ethics, but he has made a lot of money. Is that what you're thinking? So, one interesting thing here, see, Keith only ever had one position in HyperVerse, and that's kind of right. He didn't have like teams of people under him. He didn't have a team. He was the key man at the top, telling people, you know, arranging the teams, but he was at the top of the pyramid in a way, if you know what I mean. Like Brenda Chunga, for example, she had meant to brought in $640 million worth of revenue for HyperVerse. Now, she claims that she's actually only ever made $1 million out of HyperVerse because she won $1 million in one of the competitions. And anyone else that ever won any money in those competitions, they had to do a promotional video saying how wonderful HyperNation was, I think it was, HyperVerse was, before they got paid the money. We proved that in other videos we've done. So, what was it? So other people were taking 20 or 30, I don't know what that part was. So he was good at marketing. He was promoting a Ponzi scheme. He claims he thought it was genuine. Let's just forget about what you're thinking and let's carry on. Keith paid all his taxes. So I asked whether Keith had actually had any problems with the tax department, because Keith did go to pay his tax, but it was refused by the tax department in the UK because they said they were investigating him for fraud and money laundering. Don't ask me how I know this stuff. Anyway, so Keith had always paid his taxes. He laughed when I said it's Keith been done for not paying his taxes, and he laughed. He said Keith always pays his taxes. I said to him, he actually advised Keith that he could put his money offshore in a company, and Keith said he's loves living in the UK and he always will pay his taxes. So take that as a grain of salt. However, let's see what... So I said, I don't really have a personal beef with anyone. But what I'm trying to do, Danny de Hek, a.k.a. the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger, is actually to stop these scams. I want people's help. I want people, if you know where Ryan Jew is, or you know where Sam Lee is, go to dehek.com, go to my Contact Us page, provide me anonymous information. I mean, I really want to stop these scams. That's my bigger picture. I'm sorry you're invested with Keith Williams and Kalpesh Patel, and I'm sorry you lost your money, but you made an informed decision, and you won't be able to get your money back. I was in a hyper, I've forgotten what it's called, hyper fun group. Anyway, I might put it in the link. But there's a company in there, a person in there chatting, saying, oh, what you need to do, you need to sign up for this, and you need to put your money in here, and you need to do this because they plan to do this and that. And I just went, stop. Stop thinking that you're going to get your one-time investment back. That was just a ploy that Keith Williams seems to have come up with, because that's what he wanted. He wanted people to get their money back out. This is what I got told. So anyway, I gave him some examples of other people that are also in a bad position. Yes, Keith Williams got stage 4 cancer, and that's terrible, but I want my money back, is what people will say to me, and that's what they have already said to me. And I gave him an example of a guy called Mike Lucas, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, and he was in a real bad position, and he still is. But he only put $25,000 in. I'm pretty sure Keith could afford to pay him back the money. That opens up a whole another can of worms. Because if you were to line up 1,000 people who've lost their money, which one do you give the money back to first? It wouldn't actually work. I mean, it's just, it just doesn't work. Okay, so I gave him the examples. And so I've said, I'm telling you that... So when he said he didn't think it was a scam, I said, what, you're telling me that he didn't have any inclination whatsoever that he was promoting a scam? And he said, well, it turned out to be a scam, but Keith never believed it was a scam until they stopped paying out. And he saw that people were being tricked. And that he also said that's why he took the global sales representative role, thinking that he could trade his way out of it. And when you've watched the videos like I have, I actually sincerely believe that Keith Williams thought that they could get more people in and trade their way out of the disaster that they're in. However, you're forgetting the fundamentals, and that's corporate, which is Sam Lee and Ryan Jew and Jaden Wee and 2 Kevins, right? They were taking the money out. Now, Kalpesh Patel told me that Sam Lee said they were transferring the money out of HyperVerse and buying Bitcoin with it. They were never doing whale trading, and they were never doing any investments in startups like they were telling the nodes. And the nodes were Kalpesh Patel and obviously Keith Williams. And then you've got all the other people like David, Troy, and Marcus from the Satoshi Show. And they are all promoting it. Then you've got the Novatech people that are in there. It just goes crazy and crazy. But anyway, so until Sam Lee and Ryan Jew didn't keep their word about the recovery program, that was when he realized that he had been gullible and used just as much as anyone else. Now, I believe that. I think that's fair. So back in 2020, Sam Lee and Ryan Jew invited Keith to Dubai. Now, I'm not sure actually if this is quite correct, if I've got this right, but by the way I was told, Sam Lee was in Dubai, but then so was Ryan Jew at the same time. And I'm not sure if that is consistent with what I'm about to tell you, but let's see what it says. So they met him at the airport in a Rolls Royce. And when Keith saw, the first thing he said, he embraced Sam Lee and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. We never thought we would get as big as it did. Now, this was back in 2021, just after HyperVerse was at its prime, probably April. This is when Keith actually bought his $3 million house. My dog wants to be picked up. Come here. This is Pixel. Oh, can you stay there while I carry on? All right. Say hi to the camera, everyone. Pixel, look at the camera. Yeah, that's it. All right. So, what did he say? So that was only, yeah, so they went to Dubai for the first time and met Sam Lee. And that was only 8 months after it had been going. And they were already skiting about how big it was. So, you know, like I said to him, I said, look, Sam Lee says this was a $2 million, 2 million people had invested in HyperVerse. However, when you think about the problem they had with the multiple accounts, some people in India were having 500 accounts. So that might explain why there's only 1,700 people who have signed the class action lawsuit petition that people are trying to do, because it may not be as big as they allege, but if they were counting accounts, it could be a completely different scenario than actually counting people. So that would make sense. Anyway, and I remember watching Keith and Amanda Lee in a Zoom meeting when it was called Hyperfund, and they literally had 100 people in the Zoom meetings. And as you know, the Zoom meetings for Hyper Community got into the 1900, 2000 limit, where they had the overflow room and the like. So he said that Keith had done very well financially, but he'd also been a victim because he was gullible and he believed. Now that was really hard for me to sit there and not bite my tongue. And I go, well, yeah, how can you be a victim when you're living in a £3 million mansion? And I said, how much money do you made? And he said, well, not him, but you know, his friend. And he said, well, he reckons that he might have a couple of million in the bank. And that would make sense, because a lot of the VIP fives that I talked to, you know, were actually making 200,000 or 300,000. You know, Brenda Chunga brought in 640,000 and claims she only made $1 million. That doesn't add up. And it all depends how wise you were at getting your money out of the platform rather than leaving it on the platform. So who knows exactly? But I personally don't think, like Kalpesh Patel, he reached out to me and he said to me, I'm as bad as Sam Lee. And I said, oh, why do you say that? And he said, well, you're telling people I was making $1 million a day just before HyperVerse crashed. And that was untrue. And I said, well, how much money were you making? He wasn't going to tell me. But there was other rumours out there where Kalpesh Patel was actually making $35,000 a day. And that could be more realistic. So let's just say 5 million. Well, let's just say 6 million. Let's say 10 million, but not billions. And nor is, yeah, so, you know, so it's not possible for Keith Williams to pay everyone back. It's not going to work, right? I'm just seeing if I can do the keyboard while holding a dog. Let's see what it says. So he said he's done very well financially, but not billionaire status, just millionaire status. I said to him, I know you're a friend of his, but been using victim mentality when you've stolen millions of dollars from people and you've got a £3 million house is pretty hard to swallow. And then he said, I don't think he stole the money. And I have to process that. So Keith got paid for promoting it. He didn't actually really handle the money. Now, I have heard of stories where people would ask Keith to set up HyperVerse accounts and he would take the money and then set up those accounts for those people. That is actually money laundering. And if he is getting done by the tax department, that's probably what they'll go after, because people are now complaining that they gave Keith so much money and this was the outcome, and, you know, whatever it is. But anyway, so I said, look, I've sit there and I've got 15 videos that I'm currently working on doing videos for, and I've watched them teaching people and training people in the hyper community, and I've been doing voiceovers on them. And just recently I've been redoing them and relaunching them. And I said I'll probably spend 5 or 6 hours watching Keith and Kalpesh Patel gaslighting the community and telling them to blatantly believe people And they're shocking. It's NLP training 101. It's just absolutely shocking. So I said, how do I handle people? Because I'm asking for advice here. I said, who say to me, oh, look, karma's a bitch, isn't it, eh? If you're going to scam people, you deserve what you get. That's exactly what people have said already. So put your comments in the comment section. So I said it's hard to swallow. I said, if you met Keith, if Keith didn't have cancer, would he still be pushing like-minded opportunities to the community? And he said, I don't think so. Because, not just because of his current state of affairs, and he's spoken to his family, and they were active in HyperVerse as well, but none of them believe any of the scams that Sam Lee, or Ryan is doing. They've actually just dropped it like a hot scone. And that's unlike other people. I mean, all these VIP 5s that you see, I mean, there's a strong group of Australians, and I'm talking about Yvonne Henry and Carl Miller and Kate Longley. They're Australians, and they're actively out there promoting these Ponzi schemes. And when I looked at a video just the other day, what was I watching? I was watching an old video of something. I think I just published it in one of my videos. You've got these guys that have been following these multi-level marketing Ponzi schemes around for 3 or 4 years, and they're still doing it. So the fact that Keith wouldn't be doing it, I don't actually think Keith would be still promoting HyperVerse or wewe.Global or all the other ones even if he didn't have cancer. You know what I'm saying? So what else we got here? Most people think he doesn't need to promote them because this is what I said, that he doesn't need to promote because he's already made millions. And then I said that how when I was in the New York Times, there was a guy called Mike Lucas, and he had put everything into HyperVerse. He put $2,000 in initially, and then he transferred the rest of his life savings into HyperVerse and obviously lost a lot. And I was using him. I was saying, why doesn't Keith pay him back? If Keith's got a couple of million in the bank still, then why doesn't he pay him back? And that's where we got into the conversation about how he agrees with me. It would be a great scenario, but the money's gone. We should be going after Sam Lee and Ryan Jews. He said, but where do you stop and start? Who do you give the money back to and who don't you give the money back to? And I thought that was quite good. Let's what have we got here? The loan. There are thousands of people who are probably he said he knew lots of examples of people who mortgaged their house to invest in HyperVerse or still paying back loans. And he made it very clear his intention wasn't to ring up and sort of debate the fact, of what they should do with the money. He's just wanted to make sure I was clear that that Keith did have cancer and he is seriously ill. And I did really want everyone to know, even people watching this now, that I am empathetic. I don't want to kick a man when he's down. And cancer is a terrible thing. Whether you believe in karma or not, you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. And I'll say it now that Keith is not my worst enemy. My worst enemy is Ponzi schemes and scammers, people who run these organisations. I wish everyone would just stop buying into these programs and thinking that they're cleverer than the Ponzi scheme. So he asked me a good question. Where do you think Ryan Jew is right now? And I said, I think he's in Singapore. And he said the same. And he said there's rumour going around from the German team that Ryan Jew was under house arrest in Beverly Hills. And I heard the same rumour, and I can tell you there's no strength to that rumour whatsoever. So he also asked Keith Williams, where do you think Ryan Jew is? And he also said Singapore. So if you're in Singapore and you're walking around and you see Ryan Jew walking around, please let us know. Follow him home and see where he lives. And what about Brenda Chunga? Do you know where she is? Well, Chunda, I call it Chunda, but her name is Chunga. He said, well, it looks like she's working with Sam Lee. And she was, but I don't know if you looked at the last video with Brenda. She was wearing a baseball cap, and she did not look like she's in a good place. So I think something else is going on there. And obviously we haven't seen her for a while, but I believe she's living in Dubai, if you want my opinion. And he says some interesting facts, that more billionaires were created through COVID than any other period before, which would be true. So there has been a lot of hype on crypto. A lot of people are exploiting Zoom, and a lot of people are running fraudulent activities from the confines of your house. So there's been a different change in dynamics over the last years. So he said he would ask Keith about his tax situation, and he's going to be seeing him soon. He visits Keith on a monthly basis. He lives in a different location, this guy, but he goes back and forth and checks up on his mate. He said he's undergoing a very painful second round of chemo as we speak. I'm one of his best friends. He's one of my best friends for 25 years. We've done a lot of things together, and I can tell you he has a very serious cancer. So then I asked if Clayton Ford was at the party. He laughed and he said no. And I said, well, he's still scamming people. But that's quite ironic in a way, because Clayton Ford and Keith seem to go way back as well. Sam Lee apparently has less money than he thought. And this is where I'll probably put a video on showing the chat with Sam Lee, where Sam Lee claims he's not a billionaire. And I don't even believe that Sam's got more than 5 million, if that, to his name either. I think they talk big, and then they scoop off the low-hanging fruit. So when you're parting with your $100 and $150 money, that's the money they want. But when it's like the Nigerian scam network. You know, I'm a prince, and I've been given $3 trillion, and I need a bank account to put it in, and I'll give you a cut. And then they ask you for the $150 to set up the bank account. You know, that's the same sort of deal, and that's the same strategy. It's worked for years. As I said, I chatted to Sam yesterday, and he admitted he wasn't a billionaire. I explained that what I'm doing, I said I try to get my facts wrong. Even when I was chatting to Sam Lee, he goes, oh, well, you know, send me the arrest warrant if you've got it. And I go, I'm not a policeman. And I said, there's no warrant out for your arrest. However, there are liquidators who want to talk to you. And after they've talked to you, they'll probably arrest you, Sam. And he goes, I've been talking to the liquidators already. And I go, well, that's not what I've heard, Sam. And in fact, I will pay for a flight from Dubai to Australia if you'll get on the plane, and you can talk to the liquidators again, because they still have some loose ends where you stole $50 million from Australians after you got BlockchainGlobal listed on the share market. And then in the same chat room that I was chatting to him with 3,000 other people for the 4 hours, whatever it was, and he claimed that Sam's hasn't been involved with BlockchainGlobal since 2019. That's what Sam's. So it's like Chinese whispers, you know. When you listen to Sam's videos, and all these videos, I'm up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning listening to these videos. Sam said 7 days ago he had 5,000 staff. Then this week he also said he had 750 staff, and he has a large network around him. So that was where he got the other 4,250 people from, if I got that right. And then I found a 5-month-old video of Garrett from Vigilante walking around the offices showing us that they have 3 floors and they have 450 staff. And I'm thinking, hold it a minute, Sam and Vigilante are claiming the same staff. They're all working out of the same building. And then Garrett walks into what Sam Lee's offices today, and they are working out of the same building. In another video, you got Sam Lee claiming he owns the building. You know, where does it stop? I mean, where do you guys realize that you've been played like circus animals? These guys are all going to disappear soon, and they won't be able to go to any other country because they're stuck in the big jail of Dubai. So anyway, it carried on. It says in December was when Keith was first diagnosed. We spoke together, and he was there with him in December. And he said to Keith at the time, if anyone's got the right mental attitude, it would be you. All the years you've been working on personal development and having the right mental attitude will now come into play. And he said that Keith really wants to crack it. And he goes, he's still trying to be strong, even though he's at a low point right now today. But this time was the first time. So he's saying at the party was the first time he was talking about how he might not crack the fight for cancer. So he realised he's in a bad way. So that's quite sad. Anyone with cancer, it's very sad. Don't care who you are, to be honest. I was going to talk... Oh, sorry, I better get this right. I was going to say... so he talks about how Keith has a good network around him, strong spiritual beliefs. He said he's a good man and he's got a good set of values. He's a family man, and as he said before. So that's sort of hard to swallow because, think about this. I mean, my partner doesn't, well, she does know what I do for work, but I mean, not everyone knows what everyone does. And I'm sure he loves his family, and it is about love, isn't it? We want people in our lives to love each other, and you don't want, there's no doubt in my mind that everyone's got good values, and yeah, okay, all right. So he said, I'm holding a dog here at the moment, if you haven't figured this out. I just want to make that. He said he really believed that this was a genuine thing. He did not think this was a way to get rich quickly, and he is very sorry that so many people have been hurt. But he did not go into this thinking it was a scam. So that's what Keith Williams said. When it started to go downhill, he thought it could be saved. And that's why he accepted the position as the global sales representative. And then he realized it couldn't be saved. So he stopped being involved, stopped doing the calls, and the illness came, and then he was out of it. He's not a bad guy who desperately ripped off people. So as I said, it's a hard pill to swallow, that one, mate. I know that if I told people what you just said, they won't even say, what I mean. I'm sorry, I got that completely wrong. I think if I told people that Keith didn't know it wasn't a scam and he was gullible and he got played like the rest of you, people won't swallow that pill. But, it's pretty obvious, as he said, he was the face of the network. And he knows that. Not because he was scamming, but he wanted, and he didn't want to just take advantage of people, because he really believed in it. So that's basically it, really. So, disappointment for you guys. Danny's not going to show you where Keith Williams lives. I really have to ask the question is, do you want to stop these scams? Or do you just want to, every time you're listening to someone in a Zoom meeting telling you to sign up or give this or give that, you really need to start being vigilantes. Keith Williams is probably the guy that I've gone after the most out of my crypto Ponzi scheme career so far. I've been sued by other people. One guy's tried to sue me for $3.8 million in the New Zealand High Court. Spent a lot of money on a case to go after me because he's got money from scammers, and finished up filing a discontinuance an hour and a half before a High Court judge was going to have a look at it. And now he owes me for my court fees of $36,000. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have any money. In fact, I'm trying to restart my business after COVID. I struggle for money. I do. I'm not an investor who's got $200,000 or $300,000 in the bank and I'm looking for ways to pass it out to these guys who claim I'm going to get 3 times returns. Now, you invested in this. You made an informed decision. We can sit here and point the finger at Keith Williams, or, I still like to point the finger at Kalpesh Patel because he's still promoting these Ponzi schemes. He's telling you guys what to do with your money when he's an unregulated financial advisor. So what could Keith do? Come on, what could Keith do to redeem himself? I mean, okay, so he's got a few $1 million. So he's going to give it back to you. How would that actually work? If there is 2 million people involved, you're all going to get $1 each. It doesn't work. So should he pick and choose who he gives it back to? You guys would have fight after it like cats and dogs. Put yourself in Keith Williams' shoe. What would be his thoughts right now? Everything he's doing right now will be out of love for his family, his sons, his daughters. I don't know if he has, or his beautiful wife. Think about what could potentially happen. If Danny de Hek is right and he is being investigated for tax fraud, even if he's alive or he passes away, what are they going to do? They're going to go after his assets. So not only that, Keith Williams' family are going to lose Keith, and then they're going to lose the wealth of the man they loved. I mean, that's not something you'd wish on anybody. But then straight away you'll be going, oh, but what about me? I. What about the money I put in to these Ponzi schemes, So, yeah, well, you shouldn't have mortgaged your house. You shouldn't have used money that was going to change the quality of your life to invest. That's what investments are. You diversify. You get told to buy a house. You put some cash in the bank, and then you might play on the share market a little bit. Then cryptos come along, and everyone's a crypto gazillionaire. You listen to a few stories, and then all of a sudden I can do that. I put $400 into Shibu Inu, I think I'm saying that right, and I got $1,200 back. Wow, that was amazing. $400 in, within, I think it was about 6 weeks, it'd gone all the way up. Some people made millionaires out of that Ponzi, well, not Ponzi scheme, that was just putting your money in crypto. So there is opportunities out there to make a lot of money. Now, think about this. What can we do to stop Ryan Jew and Sam Lee? I mean, I was in their chat room and I posted probably about 300 messages. I posted every video that I've done about Sam Lee to Sam Lee. I'm in there telling him that he's not a billionaire, and he said, no, I'm not a billionaire. And I'm going, you don't have 5,000 staff. Did you have 600 prisoners released into your care? Answer this. Did you have this? Did this actually happen? Golby, your left-hand man, right-hand man, said that you had 600 prisoners released into your care from the United Arab president. Is this true? He wouldn't answer me. So then he would come back and he would pick and choose the ones that he's answered. And then he's still trying to be the hero. I mean, this guy needs to go down. Sam Lee is walking around the streets of Dubai creating scams, and people are signing up for them because they think they know better. Then you get the multi-level marketers, which I can't stand. The Clayton Fords, who are trying to convince people to sign up for a fake credit card so that he can scoop off the commission straight away. Kalpesh Patel, he's living, theoretically, I've heard, could be wrong, another bit of the jigsaw puzzle I'm not quite clear on the 56th story of a building right next to the subway. So I've heard, don't know whereabouts, overlooking the majestic building in Dubai. Penthouse apartment, that's where he lives. He could be leasing it probably $30,000 a month. Who would know? He could own it. Who would know? And as Keith's best friend said, when they went to visit Ryan Jew and Sam Lee in Dubai, they picked him up in a Rolls Royce. It could have been rented. None of these guys own it. They could own Rolls Royces. Who knows the criminal network behind these syndicates? Do you want to make a difference? Do you want to stop these guys from scamming your friends and family? Hey, Keith Williams, easy target. I could have given you his home address. You could have knocked on his door. And you could say to Keith, you told me about a Ponzi scheme and I invest my money and I lost a lot and I want you to pay me back for the decision I made. And then the door opens and there's Keith Williams standing there on a simmer frame with no hair, looking very gaunt, fighting for his life because karma may have caught up with him. Now, do I believe that Keith Williams thought he was doing a legitimate business opportunity and promoting it to the masses? It doesn't matter what I think. It's what informed decision you are going to make. I've got 100 like-minded Ponzi schemes that I could put my finger on today and sit here and produce video after video. But the problem isn't the fact of me telling you guys that these are scams. The problem is I had a guy just the other day telling me that he invested $40,000 just 2 days ago into HyperVerse. He's an Australian. He's over here at the moment looking after his 95-year-old father. He said he found out it was a scam. He managed to get $20,000 out of it before it fell over, lost 20. The very next thing out of his head, he said, not all of the opportunities are bad, even though you label them as all bad. There's another opportunity I'm in at the moment called blah, blah, blah. And I'm listening to this and I'm going, what happened to good old-fashioned business? I've been an entrepreneur since I was the age of 23. I got kicked out of a religious organisation, cult, the Jehovah's Witnesses. I got shunned by my family, who to this day do not speak to me. Anyone that's involved in the religion does not have anything to do with me. And I had to start over. I took some risks. I sold everything I owned. I bought myself a laptop and I put a digital camera, a DS7, a Fuji DS7, everyone knows what that is, and I put that on my credit card. It cost $1,000. I used to walk up hoteliers' doors and take photos of their places, showing them the camera on the photo on the back of the camera, and said, I used to have a scanner, I will scan your brochure onto the internet that you've got, and I'll use the photos to show people your accommodation. And this was at the time when they had fax booking from flag staff, whatever. Anyway, so I built a business up called New Zealand's Information Network. And that business, in 2004, my business turned over $500,000 worth of revenue in a year, and I'd made $275,000 take-home money in 1 year. I thought I was going to be rich. And then things change. Google AdWords come out. My clients wanted to control their own websites and have total control of editing and doing their own stuff, so they put in call centers and they embraced technology. So I had to flex and find new things to do. I mean, my business networking company, I did it for 8 years, and then all of a sudden COVID came along and just wiped it off the planet. But I remember what was good about that business, because in business you're going to have your failures, but you have to have your failures because they are the compost for your next idea. So when I was running my business networking meetings, I had, I think, about 10 meetings a week. I used to run 15-minute workshops teaching people how to use technology. So then I thought I would start doing workshops helping people. And if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see those workshops are still in my YouTube channel. And I teach people how to build their own websites. And for $1 a month, you can go in there and learn stuff. No one was interested in doing these workshops. Even though people got value from me teaching them what hashtags were, or how to buy a domain name, or how to set up your email and all that stuff, no one sits there and watches videos. That people don't want to. So then I started using the equipment that I'm talking to you on right now to do YouTube videos. I don't know where this journey's going to take me as the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger, but if you don't do nothing, you won't get anything back. But bet your bottom dollar, you won't get Danny de Hek investing in a platform that says it's going to do this, it's going to do that. You may get this. All you do is you sit back and have a passive income. I'm a true believer that being an entrepreneur, not everyone, you're born entrepreneurial. I'm a serial entrepreneur, which means I like starting up one business after the other. And I have ideas all day long. That's why I go to bed so late, my brain's still racing. So that might be you. You might be thinking, I have ideas, I'd like to do that. Why don't we put all that time and energy into doing that sort of stuff? Why don't you think of business ideas and spar ideas? If I've got a video on there at the moment talking about my dropshipping business, go in there, post comments, ask ideas, ask for the pitfalls in a business. Last night I went off to a business networking event, and they were talking about opening up a event area. They've got a building that somebody said they could use for 3 months. What could we do with it? Everyone got together and started coming up with ideas of what they could do. Networking is awesome. Asking other people, the first thing I said is there a like-minded business around that does events? And if so, why don't we ask them what the pitfalls are? Or why don't we spy on them and see where they are making revenue streams? This is how business is. Business being entrepreneurial is great, but, listening to someone like Sam Lee, Ryan Jew, Jaden Wee, a man called Mr. H come onto the screen with a mask on, telling you to buy a yellow NFT so that you could get on the metaverse and go off in the ship. I remember Keith actually saying to people they needed to buy this yellow NFT for $100, and then you would have, that would be your ticket to the metaverse. And I think he said spaceships leaving on a release date. And it just got stupider from there, and you could buy a purple NFT for $10,000, or you could buy a platinum NFT for $100,000. And then all these, NFTs were advertised on billboards. And because they were on billboards, everyone thought it's true and it's real, and everyone bought into it. And this, at that time, after listening to Keith's best friend, that was where Keith realized it was a scam and was trying to do right by the community and trade his way out of it. So if it sounds too good to be true, it obviously is too good. So don't fall for these scams. And Keith, if you are watching this, I'm sorry about your health. I'm sorry that your family will be struggling with your health at the moment. I mean, I got sick and I nearly died. I was in hospital for 2 weeks. Everything that is going on in your life right now, when you have a health scare, it doesn't matter. And if you've been silly enough to invest in a Ponzi scheme, you made an informed decision to do so. It's easy to throw people like Keith Williams under the bus, but what's really important in life, I don't know. I hope this was interesting. So as it sits, I'm not going to be telling you where Keith Williams lives. If you find that information out, give him the due respect he deserves. Unfortunately, there's no buyback opportunity. If you've heard that rumor from anybody, it's a lie. If you want to help fight these scams, let's go on a manhunt for Sam Lee and Ryan Jew, Jaden Wee. They're the 3 corporate. There's also 2 Kevins. If you message me, I'll tell you their names. I mean, let's be Evangelites. Was that right? Evangelites? Let's be Evangelites. Let's be Evangelites. Don't know if that's a word. Let's go after these guys. I mean, feed information to me and I'll make sure it gets to the right people. But don't sit back and let these scammers keep profiteering from you. I mean, the scams that I'm actively busting at the moment is We Are Satoshi, VidiLook 2, and Stable Deo. Stable Deo is just collecting people's data, your passports, your driver's license. And then, allegedly, HyperVerse, Hypernation, has just sold their data to Diversal, which website is selling planets to people that don't even exist. Well, they don't exist. Well, they do in the sky, but they're not the same planets. They're selling planets to people before they're even released. Another company, the guy that tried to sue me for $3.8 million, his name was Stephen Mccullah. And he did a pump and dump. So he released a company called Luna One, which has just been rebranded to fourthstar.com. He did a 3-month marketing campaign with influencers. Now, he's in the past used Mr. Wonderful, and he's also used John McAfee, who's gone AWOL. And then he used a company called The Run Guys. They did a 3-month campaign. This is how they work, telling everyone that they could participate in a pre-sale and buy these tokens that are going to be released on the market at 25 cents each. But if you buy them in the pre-sale, you could buy them for 15 cents each. So when they got released on market day, Luna One released them at 5 cents each. So straight away, the people in the pre-sale lost 80% of their money. 24 hours later, those coins were worth 1 cent each, And then they wrote a letter on their Medium account basically saying, sorry, they got professional advice and they decided the good thing to do was to release the tokens at 5 cents each. People were in an uproar. So 3 people come to me and said they want to tell their story. I interviewed them. They told me their story. And then I got a cease and desist letter from their lawyer. from Stephen Mccullah's lawyer telling me to take the videos down or they're going to sue me for damages and the whole 9 yards. So I spent 2 weeks putting together a video researching this guy. This is what these scammers do. This guy had done a Kickstarter campaign, raised $29,000, claiming that he was going to go hunting for live dinosaurs in the Congo, as well as human-sized tarantulas. I can't even say big spiders. And then in 2016, he did another Kickstarter campaign trying to raise $75,000. I didn't find the dinosaurs, by the way, and his computer gear got stolen, and he didn't have the paperwork in order. Anyway, so then in 2016, he was doing this game called Skylark. I think it was called Skylark. And he was claiming that when people play the game, they will get paid real gold. That rebranded to another one called Gold Inc. It's still going today, but no one's ever been paid gold. And then he obviously did the Pump and Dump with Luna 1, and then he started up a polo. Pinakee Naik was promoting a polo, and they're all worth, and then they've got gold-backed currency. And this guy claims that he's got active gold mines, and the whole company is gold-backed. He claims he's got 4 claims in Zimbabwe and somewhere in South Africa and all sorts of things. And the whole lot was just bullshit. He also ran a competition where he was giving away 2 Tesla Cybertrucks, 2 sports cars like Ferraris and Lamborghinis, $2 million worth of crypto, and $1 million worth of real gold. And when the competition was read out, the 2 people who won the sports car wanted to remain anonymous, so no one ever knew who won. And also, only 1,000 people watched the YouTube video over a 6-month period of the release of the prizes. So now I did a whole video about all these things, and that was just some of the things. Oh, he also owned a fake country called the United Allied States, the UAS, and he got sworn in as the president, and they had people who are fake as presidents and finance minister, just like a real country. Anyway, so I did a 4-hour, 47-minute long video, and then next thing is I get a letter in the mail telling me I'm being sued for defamation for $3.8 million. So I needed to get a lawyer because it was in the High Court of New Zealand. Finished up getting 2 barristers and a lawyer, and we went after him, and we basically submitted a 217-page affidavit showing all the things he had thrown at me to the judge, including claiming that I was a white supremacist and I was connected with terrorist activities. Now, I live in Christchurch, and we had a mosque where somebody walked in there, Australian guy, and shot 51 people dead. They were sending letters to every government organisation in New Zealand telling that I was connected with the same organisation. This is the lengths that these scammers go to. So anyway, long story short, 1 hour and a half before it went to the judge and I'm in the courtroom, he filed a discontinuance. So now waiting to be awarded my $36,000 I have for fighting these cases. So the reason I'm telling you that story is because I got shunned, kicked out of a religious organisation, blah, blah, blah. And I don't like people scamming people. I hate it. And I do have things to live for, but I don't really care what they throw at me. I'm here to stay. And I really do value the support I get from my subscribers and also people who tip me off of information. But these scammers are dirty and disgusting people. Anyway, I've chatted to Keith quite a lot. He's never threatened me. He might have called me a few names. He alleged my suit, which was a Ted Baker suit that cost $1,500, Keith, was cheap, and also that I have to pay my rent. But I'm like you. I'm probably haven't got as much money. I haven't got much money. I haven't got hardly any money. I'm on the bones of my ass, But that's the people that invest in these Ponzi schemes because they're hoping that they're going to be rich, like Sam Lee or Ryan Jew. It's just disgusting. Getting off the track a wee bit. Really appreciate you listening to me. I'll make this a podcast as well. But by all means, my point, my message, what is my takeaway? Is, let's stop these scams. Let's stop Sam Lee and Ryan Jew. Let's give Keith Williams some respect, regardless. Put your prejudice to the side. You don't wish that stuff on your worst enemy. Karma is a bitch. I get it. Unfortunately, think entrepreneurial. Get a job. Find a product or a service and think smart. Be entrepreneurial. Don't put your money in something where it's going to grow all by itself. Work hard for a living. That's what your father and your mother have done, right? Don't forget the fundamentals. I'm Danny de Hek, a.k.a. the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Please do make sure you hit the thumbs up, provide a message, hit the bell, and you'll be notified when my new videos come out. Have a great day and stay safe. See you guys.